Hey, Peggy.
Okay.
Hey.
Okay. I was on mute. Okay.
There we go.
Oh,
How are you? Did you get my review?
Lord, yeah.
Did you like it?
I,
Did it make sense?
yeah.
Good. Good, good. Yeah, it was really good. The last picture you took to the one at Hemmingbow, that was really cool.
That was that little church.
Oh, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that's Arlen's father, or he did it for his father or something like that, the owner of it. Yeah.
And well, I was gonna take some pictures of the doors, and when I saw that doorknob, I said, oh.
Well, cool. Well, Scott's on. Hi, Eleanor. How are you?
Hey,
So I'm gonna give the others, I opened the room just a little bit early to make sure y'all could see everything. This is my studio, so it's my first attempt at trying to do a Zoom and broadcast out of the studio. And living in the middle of nowhere on a farm, I mean, sometimes my internet's not the best and my Wi-Fi, but so far, knock on wood, seems to be doing all right.
Good.
So Eleanor, do you shoot macro?
not really yet. I've been playing, but I want to play more. So
Good, good. Well, hopefully you'll learn some stuff. There's some pretty cool stuff you can use, some little gadgets and all that.
yeah,
And hello, Scott. He's muted his video and his audio. So yeah, I know Scott's my business partner. We're going to be doing a big shoot in Dallas next week. So we're all trying to get geared up for that. That's going to be a lot of work, but hopefully a lot of fun.
Didn't mean to unmute my audio.
Well, see how you are. So, all right, I am gonna go, let's see, it's just now 1 o'clock, so I'm gonna give everybody just a few minutes, but I'm not gonna wait real long. And then kind of tell y'all what I'm gonna do or what I plan on doing, what I hope to do, and get started and show y'all some, hopefully some cool stuff. So, while we're waiting on everybody, does anybody have any questions? Oh, Peggy, you got my email about the deal with the focus assist on your Nikon?
Oh, yeah. No,
That's a
they
shame.
don't.
That's a shame. I know you can, I know you wanted that so bad.
Oh, the way you take your pictures and oh God, here I was struggling.
Little tips and tricks and cheats, but it just makes it so much easier.
Oh, that looks so easy.
Sorry, guys. This is Jet, my resident studio cat that I inherited, who likes to be the center of attention. And if we get through the whole class without him knocking over stuff up here, it's going to be absolutely amazing. But we'll see.
I did get that program.
Uh,
Do you know this?
yeah, the on one, no noise.
Yes.
Did you like it?
Well, I'm not sure how to use it yet.
Just play with it. It's very similar to Topaz. I like the detail that it can pull out, especially in the darker areas. And then to be able to do that without all the noise that you get from shooting kind of underexposed. To me, it's amazing. A lot of people use it for like when they shoot the astronomical stuff, the night skies and all that, because that's like inherently noisy. And that was, I think, kind of originally what it was mainly designed for, because I've seen some, they'll take pictures of like the Milky Way and stuff like that, that has a lot of noise as it would, and run it through this thing, and it's just amazing, the detail it can get without the noise. So
Yeah.
it's a lot like using Topaz. I think it's just, in my opinion, it's just a hair better, but it's whatever you're used to.
Oh,
So,
I tried. I did it last night and I was tired, so I just said, let me not mess it up.
I understand. Hi, Gary, how are you? He's muted too. So I'll give,
Okay, there's the button.
there you
I'm doing
are.
great. I'm
Good.
doing great.
Awesome. So I was telling everybody, I'm just gonna give them, it's only 2 minutes after 1. I'm gonna give them just a few minutes and then I'm gonna get started. If somebody comes in, then they'll just come in. And basically what I plan on doing is I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna show y'all some gadgets and stuff, which most of them I have behind me here. And I'm gonna go through and just kind of show you what they are, what, you know, what they can do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then I'm gonna switch and actually show y'all physically the different gadgets and things that I've talked about. And if we have time, and hopefully if this thing will work correctly, I'm gonna try to tether and live shoot and do a real quick setup and show you some of the images you can get using one or even more of the gadgets, you know? And it's you don't have to already know macro, but if you're already shooting macro or if you start getting into macro, and some of these things that y'all have probably heard of, like extension tubes or have heard of them, but maybe have never tried them. I'm going to kind of show you what they can do. So you don't have to have a dedicated macro lens to shoot macro or to mimic it. It helps, but then I'm gonna also show you what happens when you use a macro lens and then you add on some of these gadgets and these tools. It's, you know, then you're starting to get into micro and it's just beautiful stuff. And I think that's how a lot of these guys, y'all see those insect photos where the insects are like, you know, the eyeballs are like this big, you know, and they're huge and they're so sharp. When you go above 1:1, it's considered micro. Technically, it's all pretty much interchangeable. Micro, macro, and then close up. And it's just whatever the picture is, as long as you like it and the picture's successful, then by all means shoot it. I wouldn't get hung up on the terms micro, macro, close up. It's basically just a good composition and a good photo. So another taker. Hi, Sandy. Oh, tilt your laptop down a little bit. We can see. There you go. There you go. So, all right, guys. Well, it's 5 after. There's not a whole lot of us. So that means everybody's going to probably get something because I do have some kind of cool things to give away. Some of y'all already have these, but one of the giveaways I'm going to give away is my book, The Beauty of Rosedown. And Peggy, I forgot to sign yours the other day.
Right.
But it's basically a walkthrough photo book that I did with information and such on Rosedown Plantation. And it's kind of designed for the visitor to pick up and take through the house. It explains what they're looking at and the history of it, and then also goes into the gardens and some of the cool features at Rosedown, which is a beautiful place to shoot. That's where Peggy and I shot last week. And another thing that I'll be giving away is my macro and close-up photography for beginners. Now, this is an older book. I did this book about quite about, I don't know, 7 years ago, 6 or 7. So the basics still apply, although there are now even bigger and better things that you can do. I'm gonna show you kind of some of the things I'm talking about. But it's still basic and it is for shooting indoors. It's not really nature outside. But the same principles that I cover in this also can be applied to outdoor macro shooting as well for nature and things like that. And then I also have my nifty, cool capture the details tote. They're way sought after and everybody wants them and this and that to put all your gear in. And actually this will be the first time that I give some away. So there you go. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. If somebody comes in, they'll have to catch us. Okay, I am going to attempt, this is going to be fun, guys, because this is live. I'm going to attempt to share my screen with y'all. Let me get to where I need to go here real quick. And y'all let me know. Where is my? Okay, there you are. Now let me go to this. Share. Okay, can y'all see that?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, so this is where we're going to start. So one of the things that, and I've just recently gotten one of these, one of the things that I use a lot, and I use it in my studio and I use it outside, are these camera bases. So, you know, like everybody has a tripod. These things are designed to be put on a table or outside. And there's two right now. This is the one that I have, which I'm going to be shooting on today, and I'll show y'all. And I love this thing because you buy the base. This is the Kirk Lopod, and these things are not cheap. They're about $200. And you have to buy a ball head for them. There is another one I'm going to show you in just a minute that's called the Platypod, and a lot of people have heard of this. I'm loving this Kirk Lopod. This thing is so sturdy. It can hold it. That picture is my my R with my 90mm lens, which is sitting behind me. That's what I have hooked up right now. But I can put my my camera strap on my camera and literally walk around the yard with this thing hanging off of me, and it does not come off. It's amazing. I'm gonna show y'all what it does. Well, okay, then let's see here. Let me do it this way. Let's see if I'll do it this way. Go away. Like I said, it's live, guys, so y'all bear with me. There we go. I don't know if I can get rid of this garbage over here. Let me see here. Of course, it worked perfectly. And we'll just do it this way. It worked perfectly when I was trying it this morning, and so of course now it's not wanting to, so let me go up. Let's see if it'll do it. Okay, so this is the Kirk Lopod. There we go. This is that Platypod thing I was telling you about. Now these are, they make two different styles. And everybody just loves these. Everybody's going crazy over these. The reason people like them is because the same thing, you have to buy a ball head for them. But they do come with all kind of neat attachments. They make elbows and all kind of crazy things that you can add to it for lights and et cetera, et cetera. The Kirk, the one that I have, doesn't have that, but I don't really use that in the field. In the field, I tend to travel as light as I can because I'm getting older. And I really don't feel like packing around a bunch of weight. These things are super lightweight. That small one you can, I think, even put in your pocket and such, but I don't believe it can handle much weight. But those are kind of the two bases that are kind of the big thing right now. And like I said, I'll show y'all mine. Okay, and I'm also going to share with y'all a PDF that has links to almost all of these things. Like it's going to have a link to the Platypod, a link to the Kirk Lopod. I don't have a link to these, but y'all are probably familiar with them. These photography clamps, A-clamps, whatever you want to call them, these plastic ones, get them on Amazon. I probably have 100 and I don't have enough. I use them for absolutely everything, as you'll see behind me here and in some of my setups. And this is how they come in handy. These things, you can use them to hold things, hold lights, hold flowers. You'll see. You can't have enough, and I have them in about 4 or 5 different sizes, and they're cheap, and you can find them on Amazon. Just look for either photography clamps or A-clamps, stuff like that. I buy them by the bagfuls. And to show y'all, sorry. So this is how this comes in handy. So it's holding this flower, this little tiny flower here still, and I was able to get that shot. And that was taken on the table right behind me. And again, that's it in use, and you can see how it can hold a flower stem. Now, the one thing you don't see in this picture, but it's something I learned a few years back, when you're using a clamp, especially a third or helping hand, which I'm gonna show y'all, I believe next or soon. It's real helpful if you take a drinking straw and you cut it to fit the height of the stem of the flower, whatever, particularly the flowers, before you clamp it, and that'll stop some of these soft stems. You know, if you clamp down on them and you try to, choke them down, it'll crush the stem and the flower will wilt. If you use a plastic drinking straw, it'll give cushion between that clamp and the stem of that flower. And I don't have it in this picture. That's actually a woody stem, so I didn't need it, but that's just a FYI. Now, this crazy looking thing, this is just a clamp that I bought off Amazon for desk and things like that. I do have it behind me. I use this for heavier things, and it's just an extra clamp that you can find. It is heavy. It will hold pretty much anything that I clamp to it. So I just want to throw that in there for y'all. This is everybody's favorite. This is called, years ago, we called these third hands, and now apparently on Amazon, they're listed as helping hands, but I do have a link to the helping hand, if that's the correct term now. They're really cool. They're inexpensive. They're like $30 or something like that. They come in different models. The one that I use has the 2 alligator clips, has a little tiny mini LED light that you can see there, and has a magnifying glass. And these little tools are used by jewelers, by people that work with electronics. They've used them for years, and the macro photographers have started using them. Well, they've been using them for a while, but the base is really sturdy, and you can get some really cool shots using these things. You can see how small that flower is because my laptop's sitting right behind it. And that I was able to get that shot. Now that's shooting with a macro lens through that magnifying glass being held by the alligator clamp on the helping hand. I got to start using the right terminology instead of the old terminology. There's another example of a little tiny starfish that I use. I shot that here in my studio. And this is just a piece of moss that I went outside and grabbed off the ground out there. And you can see how much it magnifies it. And then you can add that little LED light to kind of light up, certain areas of it. And I was able to get that shot. This is a really cool item I just got probably about maybe 5 or 6 months ago. This is a clamp-on conversion macro lens. Now I don't know if y'all have shot back in the day, you know how you could buy those, and I have some, the screw-on things that you can put, the magnification screw-on lens things that you can put onto the end of your lenses to magnify, to make it look like a macro. The problem is, of course, you keep adding glass and glass and glass, and the image gets softer and softer and softer. So this thing just came out. They're not cheap. They're about $70 or $80. But I'm like, well, I want to try it, because the neat feature about these things, you can buy them in different sizes, and they have spring clips, which I'm going to show y'all, that will allow them to fit different diameter lenses. And I put this thing on the end of my, I don't know if that's my 180 or that's my 90. It looks like, yeah, it's my 90 millimeter macro, and put these little paper whites, and they're tiny here in my studio. And I shot that. I mean, that's pretty amazing. That's not cropped. That's the actual image that I got. And I don't know if the glass is sharper or what, but I was amazed at the sharpness that using that little clip-on macro, let's see, it's called a macro, hang on, a clip-on, look at it real quick, a clip-on macroscopic lens, and it's made by Raynox, and they come in 2 different strengths. And of course I got the strongest, because that's just me. Anyway, that's pretty amazing what it can shoot. This is just kind of showing you with that same little tiny starfish, just kind of looking through it. You can see how much it magnifies it. And this is how I got this shot. Now that's with my 180mm macro lens with that conversion clip on. And that is not cropped either. So I'm in love with this little thing, especially since it doesn't seem to blur or frost or create soft images when you put it on the end of your lens, whether it be macro or just a regular, kit lens. These things, y'all may have heard of them. This is a reverse mounting ring. I'm gonna show y'all. I bought one. They're very cheap. I used it and I haven't used it a lot. I don't want to use it out in the field. And that's my personal preference. I'll use it in the studio or in the house. The reason I don't want to use it in out in the field, when you're shooting normally and you have your lens mounted onto your camera, chances are you either have a lens cap or you've got a UV filter. You got something on the end of it, so you don't want the front of your lens to get scratched. The inside of your lens, of course, is up against your camera. I am a little bit of a nervous Nelly when it comes to exposing the inside of my lens, especially how I shoot, because I shoot down in the dirt, in the grass with the bugs and everything else. And yes, you can, of course, clean the inside of your lens. But it makes me a little nervous, but I will show y'all what it can do. A lot of people love this. I will tell y'all though, too, if you use these things, your f-stop, a lot of your controls are not going to work. So you're going to have to play with it. You're not going to be able to, you have to, what I did to get this next shot, I'm going to show y'all, is I preset what I wanted and shot it with, there we go, shot it. That's just a candy on my desk. That's with my macro lens. Preset my f-stop, preset, what my ISO, blah, blah, blah. Then I reversed it because I had almost zero control, or I had no control actually. However, that said, that's what I got. And again, that's not cropped. So it's impressive and I plan on playing with it more, but for me personally, I'm just going to use it in the studio or in the house where I have more of a controlled environment. Although I do have a lot of animals in my house. I have dog hair everywhere. I have 5 large dogs, cats and a bird and other things. But anyway, but it's not like shooting, outside in the dirt with the bugs and having spiders and stuff crawl all over it, although that probably makes some interesting shots. This is another thing that you might consider looking into. This is my macro tripod. And the reason I call it a macro tripod, you can see how the middle column is leaned over completely horizontal. This is called the Alta Pro, and I do have a link to it in the PDF file that I'm going to send y'all. Again, these things are they're a little pricey. I think the last time I looked at them, like between $200 and $300. But the nice part is, if you've ever tried to shoot something, whether it be outside or particularly inside, and you're trying to get up against that, your table or your desk or whatever you're shooting on, with a tripod, you're limited because you have the 3 legs. So you can only get as close as to what the 2 spread legs that are close to that desk will allow you. With this thing, you flip a little clip and you pull the center column out. And it's not the only one that does it. I just like this one because it's so well made. And you pull up that center column, you tilt it over, you lock it in place, and you can shoot right over something. It saves your back from trying to lean over, and it just comes in really handy. So this is a setup I did a few months ago. Some starfish and some shells that I got at the Hobby Lobby store, and I wanted it to look like it was a bunch of shells and stuff that I just came upon walking on the beach somewhere. And that's my setup. And that was just strictly, that's a plastic container holder thing that I got from the dollar store, sitting on some blocks under a napkin that I got from the thrift store. When it comes to equipment, I don't mind spending money. When it comes to props or anything like that, I go as cheap as I can. The thrift store and the dollar store are my favorite places to shop in the whole world, especially for food photography and still life. And that's the shot I got. So again, the tripod is really cool. It would be really, if I would have tried to shoot that with a regular tripod, just leaning as far as I could over it, it probably would have been in an angle. Using that tripod with that center column, I was able to get directly over it. So it's just something to consider. So most of y'all are probably familiar with diffusers, right? Y'all see the portrait photographers and the wedding photographers and all these people, that run around with the big pop-ups and the diffuser, the 5-in-1s. They have a diffuser, a silver reflector, gold, white, and then a black, which we also call flags, that you see, and they're pretty big, pretty sizable. They make them tiny. And I have one behind me. I'm going to show it to y'all. This is, you do what you got to do. I shot this picture at high noon. I do like my iced tea. So that's the reason that was my prop. You work with what you got. This is that little tiny diffuser that's part of that package. And at high noon with that sun right over me, that's the shot I got. So the other nice thing about these little 5-in-1s is that they're so small and they're so lightweight. You forget you even have them. I put mine on a little small carabiner thing. I just clip it to my belt loop. Half the time I forget it, but when I remember to bring it, and they're great to use in the field and as well as in your studio, your house. Here's an example of why they're great. This is about taken about 10 minutes later. And a little mushroom growing on a dead stump that I had, and it's a little mushroom with a little inchworm that's on it. That is without a diffuser or anything. And it was a bluebird day sky. There was no clouds. So that was the shot that I got without a diffuser. That's the same exact shot, just doing the same thing, putting that little tiny diffuser over it and I think I used my tea bottle again. To diffuse that light, and you can see how much of a difference it makes. You can see how rich and in depth that the photos are. It makes a tremendous difference when you're trying to shoot and highlight like that. Now, before I got my cool diffusers and all that, I needed to do a shoot for a jewelry shot, and I have floor to ceiling windows inside my house in my living room, which are great, except it's so bright in there. And I didn't have a diffuser at that time, so I used an AC filter. They work great. I had hard light coming in from the right side over there from one of those big windows, and I took an AC filter that I had from the dollar store, and I took some black grip tape or whatever black tape I forgot that I had, and just kind of went around the edges to make it a little more rigid. That's all I used, no added light, and that's the shot I got. So a diffuser can be just about anything. Another thing that I think Peggy kind of learned the other day, if you're shooting in bright light and you see that flower, or you see that shot, oh my gosh, I want to get it, but it's high noon or it's just way too bright. If you're close enough to it, you can create your own shade. And what I mean by that is, as long as you're close enough to it, you can lean over the object if that's possible, or use whatever you happen to have. But I use my body half the time and create your own shade. Okay, now we're going to talk about different types of boards. And Scott and I come from the movie industry as well as photography, and we call them different things on set, but it's the same exact principle that we use on a movie shoot, where sometimes they want more light to come in on the scene, most of the time, or sometimes they want to be able to control that light and shut it down, if you will. So this was shot again about high noon, and the little tiny flower, it's a weed actually that was growing in my yard that I shot about high noon. I wasn't worried about composition. This was just, I wanted to show y'all what this looked like. Now, I got this shot, it's the same exact flower, same exact flower, same, I think I even used the same settings, but same exact flower, but this was my setup. And that's just two blackboards, and I'm gonna have some behind me that I'm gonna show y'all, just two blackboards. These are foam core that you can get on Amazon for next to nothing, a couple bucks. You get a pack of 5 different sizes, etc. A lot of people will use this to mount photographs and things on as well. You can also find these at the dollar store for super cheap. But what I did is I put one behind that flower to get rid of all that nastiness going on in the background, and then put one over it to act as a flag, if you will, and knock down that light. This little thing has become, as far as shooting in my studio, has become nearly invaluable. This is a desk lamp, you know, nothing exciting, blah, 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 except that it's a gooseneck. I can put the neck of that light in almost any kind of position that I want. And it's one of the newer models. The other thing that I like about it, the base at the bottom of that thing is super, super sturdy, so you can move, it won't tip over like a lot of desk lamps will. The other features it has is it's dimmable, which can be of great help. And it also it'll change light color temperatures. So you can go from bright light, blue light, yellow light, et cetera, and you can dim it to whatever strength you want. On top of that, it's got a USB charging little outlet, so you can charge your batteries, whatever it is that you may need, off the actual back of this light. And it runs off USB, so you just need an electrical outlet with a USB adapter, somebody to turn, or even probably your laptop, but you can just plug it in, and it's amazing. This is just a setup that I did. I was shooting depth of field examples for this shot, and I was able to get that. Now I should have white balanced this image a little bit better than I did, but you get the idea. I mean, it's a nice light. You can, and again, you can adjust the color. Like if you're shooting food, you want it warmer. It has the yellow tone. If you want it cooler, it's got a blue tone, soft white, and then regular white. Okay, these y'all, I'm sure y'all have heard of. These are called extension tubes. Some of y'all may have used them, or some may have not. You may have thought about using them, and I'm gonna show y'all what they do. They're pretty inexpensive. Again, you can get them on Amazon. I get a lot of things off Amazon, by the way, because I live very remote. And it's just about the easiest way for me to get things. But they come in 3 sections, 3 different, they're not strengths, they're actually hollow. There's no glass or anything in them. What they do is they move your lens away from the body of your camera, which magnifies things. Don't ask me to explain the math because it's beyond my comprehension. All I know is it works. This is what they look like. Again, there's no glass in there. You can put your finger right through them. This is shot without an extension tube, just using, I think I was using I believe I was using a kit lens on this. But it's just, that's just a close-up shot that I got. Then I added the first strength, or not strength, but the first width, if you will, thickness. Then I added the second, same flower. Then I put all 3 on a macro lens on the front of my camera. That's the setup there. That's my 90 millimeter with all 3 lenses. You see the extension tubes between those little red dots between the body of the camera and the lens on the end. And that's what I got. So you can use these, most people use these on their kit lenses to get into macro. If you do get a macro lens, try using them on your macro lens and you'll be amazed at what you can get. The one thing I must say about these things though, is that if you buy them, make sure that you get the ones that are called automatic or autofocus. They do make them, what that means is they have contacts in them or on them, so you can still communicate with your camera. You can tell the camera, I want it to be F this or F that, blah, blah, blah. You can still have all your controls. The cheaper ones, and I learned this the hard way, the cheaper ones that don't have those contacts, you get nothing. It's just blank. And so you're guessing. So make sure if you get them, and they're not that much more expensive, but make sure if you get them that you get the automatics. Just briefly, you can also shoot macros with your iPhone or your smartphone. And the Androids, as Scott and I go back and forth all the time. I have an iPhone, he's got an Android. He has a much better camera than I do on my phone. However, with my little iPhone, you can buy these. These are just the little clip-ons y'all have probably seen. Well, I broke down and said, okay, let me get one. Let me see what this thing can do. So I clipped it. Actually, should have realized now I should have turned that thing kind of sideways more. But anyway, I clipped that little thing on the front of my lens. I propped this little flower, tiny flower that I found in my yard up against a piece of wood to see what it would do, you know, with my phone. That's it from the side, but that's it with that little macro clip-on thing. Now, I will say the phone cameras, even the good ones, you know, I can look at them and I see those kind of pixelated blotchy. They're not, still in my opinion, they're not as good as a macro lens, nor should they be for the price we pay for them, but for the lenses. But they're pretty darn good. And you know, the bottom line is if you're out somewhere and you don't have your camera and your macro lens or whatever you're shooting, then the best camera that you have is the camera you have with you. And we all have phones that have cameras. So that's just something, they're small little clip-on things that you can probably put in your pocket, and they come in a little case, but carry around with you. One of the last thing, a few more things, but this is an LED light. Now, this is an old one. I don't use these anymore because these were the old kind that had the batteries. And after about 2 or 3 hours of shooting, those suckers would die. However, I have the new LED, which I'm going to show you in a minute. But they do come in handy because they're portable, they're small. And you can get really cool stuff, you know, like these backlit pepper whites that I shot. And that was my only light source. And now let me go back here, y'all, you know, I was telling y'all about the whiteboards. The purpose of the whiteboard is that anything white is going to reflect light. So if you have light coming in from a window and you put a whiteboard between balancing the light off of the light coming out of that window onto your subject, it's going to brighten it. Of course, if you put a blackboard in front of the subject and the light source, it's going to shut it down, like it shut down the light, like y'all saw. And again, if I have time, I'm going to do a quick setup and y'all can see what I do. The other thing, these little LED lights, that you can, now here's the thing too, you can use an LED light, you can use a flashlight. Peggy and I used flashlight the other day at Rosedown. This is just a flashlight, I believe, that I use in front of, or behind rather, a little thing of olive oil that I was flashing or shooting through to illuminate this filet mignon right before I cooked it, because I do a lot of food photography, and it can create really cool effects. So you might consider thinking about that, shooting through something that's opaque like that but colored, and get some really cool effects. But you can just use a regular old flashlight, you know, from the dollar store or wherever. The LEDs are the best. The dimmables and the ones that allow you to adjust your pattern from, you know, narrow to wide are best, but you know, use what you have. You can also use your phone's light too, if you have to. This is kind of a bonus thing. We're almost done. Then I'm going to show you all the stuff, take questions, and I'm going to show you all these gadgets that are behind me and try to do a quick setup. So these are some azaleas that were growing in my yard. They've now since left. They'll come back. But they were really pretty, and I wanted to show y'all something that, this isn't really a gadget or anything like that, but it's something that you can do, which is really pretty cool. So these azaleas are pretty, but you can see there's a lot of stuff going on behind them. And I didn't want to get a macro of them. I just wanted to get a close up. And even if I did a very small f-stop, yeah, the back would be soft and all that. But say you're in a park, a botanical park, or somebody's house, somewhere where you cannot clip that flower and take it in to your house, or whatever it may be. You cannot cut that flower, but you want to get a nice clean image. Well, you can, and I have a ton of these saved files on my computer. Shoot something, I mainly shoot in greenery or the slate, different backgrounds. Bring it into Lightroom, Photoshop, whatever it is that you're using. Intentionally blur that image and then print it out on non-glossy photo paper or non-glossy paper. It doesn't have to be photo paper. You want it to be matte or non-glossy. If you use glossy, it's going to reflect light. But if you use non-glossy, just regular old printer paper, et cetera, and there's my clips again, y'all see, and a whiteboard, and you can see I use a lot of things all at once. And you can get that shot. I never cut that flower. So that's not just cheap, that's a free little hint there that you can do. I just want to briefly mention this. This is called a focusing rail. A lot of people do focus stacking. I don't do a lot of it. For y'all that may not know, focus stacking is taking a series of images where the focus goes from front to back, anywhere from 2 or 3 up to some people like to get those insect shots. They'll take hundreds. They stack them all together using software and to get a perfect in focus shot from the beginning to the back. And these things were used for that. They can go tiny increments side to side, front to back. Like I said, I don't really use it, but I did want to show it to y'all. And the last couple things that y'all may not know, that macro lenses can shoot portraits. This is my lovely daughter. This was shot with an 180mm macro in her backyard. And a lot of people are unaware. They think if they buy a macro lens, that's it. That's all they can do is shoot macro. As it turns out, you can shoot portraits. And you can also shoot landscapes. And a lot of people are unaware of that. Cat, quit, sorry. Cat's attacking my feet here. And that goes, and we were discussing the other day, if you look at a macro lens, and I don't know about the kit lens, but if you look on a macro lens, it'll have limit and full. The limit and full setting is for particularly when you use, it's when you use automatic focus on a macro lens, which I never suggest because the lens will go in and out and in and out and in and out trying to find focus. It does a terrible job at focusing. I only use manual focus on my macro lenses. The limit makes it a little bit better because it'll limit how far the lens will seek before it locks on to your subject. Again, my thing is, I just use all manual focus. That's me, but that's what that setting's for. And that's it. Get that out of my lap here. So let me go back to unshare here. Let me get back to, let's see here. There we go. Okay. So now that I have run on and on, does anybody have any questions before I start showing y'all these gadgets? No? Okay. Can y'all see me now in the, before I strangle Pat?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks, Eleanor. Okay. I'm going to show y'all some of these gadgets. And then I'm going to attempt, like I said, to shoot a live tether. That's not an easy thing to do, but we're going to try it here. Okay. Clamps, every size known to man. You cannot have enough of these. You can even go to the little Hobby Lobby stores, and get these little tiny micro. They're cute, little clothespin things. I use those too, believe it or not. This is the LED light I was telling you about, but this is the newer model. This is USB powered and you charge it via USB. It's dimmable and it can really light up your subject, obviously. It also, this one too, the old kind, you had to put on a gel in front to go from either no gel or yellow or white or whatever. This one, you can do it by just adjusting a little dial on the back. So they're very, very handy. And these are nice to take out. You can see they're very small to take out into the field and shoot. The reflector, the 5-in-1 I was telling you about, this is it right here. See how big it is? It's tiny. It weighs nothing, like literally nothing. And it works just like a regular 5-in-1 pop-up. So you open it up. And that's it. That's as big as it is. And then you can use it as for your silver, your gold reflectors, your white reflectors. Then just like a typical 5-in-1, it has black, it has a diffuser. These are so super handy. They're very inexpensive, again, on Amazon. And then they fold up when you're done with them. And takes a little control in there. It goes back into its little carrying case. So these things are great. I love those things. So I'm gonna set that to the side. This is that focusing rail thing I was telling y'all or showing y'all about. It goes back and forth and back and forth. These are kind of neat. In my opinion, they're a little outdated. I think if you were really, really serious into focus stacking, you might want to look into getting one of these. I don't really use that one that much. This is the clip-on lens for the let's see if it's the macro. This is that clip-on lens for your phone. You can see it's small. This thing was a little expensive too. It comes with a wide angle and a macro, and you have to screw the macro onto the wide angle to then clip it onto your phone. But as you saw, it did a pretty darn good job. This one also, this particular model also comes with this little nifty, which I didn't use, but this nifty little clip-on light that you can put on right in front of your lens, and you can light up your subject or your object, whatever it is that you're taking. And it's kind of cool. I don't do a lot of macro with my phone. I'm going to be doing more. I'd like to actually maybe teach a class on that someday soon. This is the reverse mounting ring I was telling y'all about. It's a kind of a love-hate thing for me right now. I loved what it got. I'm still a little nervous about it. The other thing I will tell you, if y'all can see the nicks kind of on the inside, if you use one of these things, make sure you don't screw it on too tight. I did, and I had to use needle nose pliers to get it off the body of my camera. So just a FYI, make sure it's tight enough to hold, to hold the lens, but not super tight. And don't make that mistake like I did. All right. I'm gonna save the best toy for last. Everybody seems to like. These are the extension tubes. So they come a stack of 3, different thicknesses, and get it to come loose here. They can screw onto themselves to make that full stack like you saw. Those are those contacts I was telling you about. If you get these, make sure you get those contacts, or it's going to be really difficult. You won't be able to control the controls in your camera. And you can see there's no glass. So that's pretty cool about these things. I like the fact that there's no glass. This seems to be everybody's favorite. Everybody loves this little thing. I don't know why, but people are fascinated by these things. It's tiny. You see if it's in my hand. So it's pretty portable. It has the alligator clips and the little light and all that kind of stuff. And all these arms are articulating, so you can move them back and forth and, and to hold your subject. And you can either use the magnifying glass if you want for more magnification, or not and just shoot a macro and just, have to have it something to hold. Although you know, you're gonna already have your clamps, I would assume. But still, these are pretty cool and they're a lot of fun to play with. And then I think, let's see, I think I showed you all this. This is that macro conversion clip-on lens. And you can see just my hand, how much it magnifies. What's cool about this little thing is if you can see how they, with the little springs, that if you have a real narrow lens, it'll fit on the front, but if you have a little bit bigger, it'll fit bigger lens. And I think they do make them in wider widths. I got this one to fit my macro. It'll fit my 90 millimeter, but I don't think it'll fit my 180 because my 180 has an even bigger diameter on opening on the end of it. So, but it fits my 90, and I really had a lot of fun with this thing. And I think the last thing I'm going to show you all before I try to do a setup, still got a little bit of time. This is, move my camera, my thing here. This is that gooseneck lamp I was telling you all about. These things are cool. I mean, it's amazing. It doesn't matter what, you can put it in almost any position you want, high, low. Like I said, it'll give you, you can tell, it'll give you different colors, temperatures of light, depending on what you want to shoot. It's dimmable. You can see. And they're not that expensive. I think this one was around, maybe not even $30, something like that. It wasn't that much at all. These are the blackboards or foam core boards, flags. You can see the difference. You can see what they do. Now, anything black will work. You can use a black t-shirt stretched over a board. You can use a piece of cardboard that's painted black. Anything at all will work as long as it's black, because the black will absorb the light. And then this is a white foam core, again, on Amazon or dollar store, where you can have your light source and point it on, it's kind of hard to see on this, but point it on your object and it'll add light to it, and it'll be easier to see because I'm gonna probably use it for my setup. That said, can't find white foam core boards. Get this at the dollar store for $1, a whole pack of white. Again, anything white will do basically the same thing. The foam core I prefer, of course, because number one, they're cheap. Of course, they're more rigid than something like this. I have used a piece of just white printer paper that was clipped on to a board. Anything that's white that will bounce light onto your subject will work, but the foam cores are more convenient and they're cheap and they're easier to work with, in my opinion. All right. So if any of y'all have any questions, feel free to ask while I'm going to attempt this quick setup here. It's going to be interesting to see if this is going to work live. And I'll pull the camera on the laptop here a little bit closer. So I went out this morning to pick whatever flowers I could find to use as a demonstration. And my yard is kind of in between its spring flowering season heading into the summer, so I don't have a whole lot. My Louisiana irises are blooming, which is nice. So I got some of those and a few other little things that I found. So I'm going to take these. Oh, so those big ones, by the way, the big monster clamps can be a little hard to open. But I use them for everything. I use them in my house. I use them constantly. Okay. Now, one thing I didn't mention, you can get these little, I'm gonna spray this flour to get the little pretty flower water droplets like everybody loves so much. Get those on Amazon. I bought a pack of, I think, 6 for under $10, and I just put water in them. Oh, another quick little tip. If you want to get the water droplets and all the stuff that everybody loves so much, use water. Don't use glycerin like a lot of people do. A lot of people use glycerin for food photography. Don't do that. I found out the hard way that glycerin kills spiders. I had a beautiful golden orb, huge spider outside last summer, I guess it was. And I went out and I was all excited because I was doing food photography. I was like, oh, the glycerin will last longer. So I sprayed the web and I got some beautiful pictures of her, you know, with the blah, blah, blah in the web. I went back the next day and she was dead as a doornail. So if you're going to spray something outside in the nature, only use water. Don't use glycerin. Just a little FYI. Okay, let's see. So I'm gonna do. Okay, a quick poll here. What would y'all like to see me shoot? The gardenia, an iris. I have some indigo that I got out of my garden. And I have these little things and I have forgotten what they are. I've got the name of them. Any votes?
The hours.
Iris? Okay. All right. Let's see here. Let me get you out of there. And actually, I think I'm gonna take, let me get another one of my little trusty clips on here. Okay. And I probably will crush this stem, but, you know, I have lots more out there right now, so it ought to be fine. Stay there. Kind of making this harder on myself, because normally I don't have all this on a shooting surface. I only have what I need. That off. I think I want to do. Move some of this stuff over here. Out of the way so I can work quickly. I think I want I'm gonna be shooting really tight. But I'm thinking I want the background to be black. Now. So I have this light coming in from the back of this. I'm gonna change this. Here's another little thing that some of y'all may know or may not know. When it comes, sorry, that's my peacock, guys. When it comes to lighting a subject, and quite honestly, I didn't know this for a long time. The closer your light is to your subject, the softer it is. That sounds backwards. I always thought, no, further away, be softer. Actually, the further away you get, it's not quite as bright, but it's going to throw harsher shadows. So that's just something to keep in mind. when you're shooting, I think I'm gonna shoot this way anyway. And this is gonna just be like a super quick setup, guys, so this is, I probably would spend about an hour to do this, but I just wanted to let y'all see if I can get my capture to work. Oops, well, there's a different color. Oh, that's kind of cool. So let's go with the blue light. It's over here. Here's another little tip or trick. If you're in your house or even outside and you want to add the water droplets to flowers or whatever, instead of doing this and spraying right at them like most people do, actually, if you want to look more realistic, if you spray from the top and let it fall like natural raindrops, it'll look more realistic. So let me go to, let's see here. All right, y'all bear with me for just a minute. And I'm going to try to go into live tether or tether capture. All right. Let's see here. Let me try again. Hang on. Aha. Okay. Let me just do a quick shot and then I'll switch it to live. Show y'all. I'm gonna use that clamp on conversion lens because I'm so in love with it at this one. Okay. All right, guys, I'm gonna try to share my screen and try to shoot live here for y'all. Okay. Okay. All right. Can y'all see that screen there? Let me do this, get rid of all this noise. And okay. Now, this is not, it's obviously a little bright. I
Sure.
did that. Okay, so this is with my, again, this is just a quickie. Okay, can y'all see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right,
It's pretty much the one we already did.
okay. Yeah, it kind of helps when, when you adjust your exposure. Okay, so this is, let's see, let's try with this. Now I'm shooting it. Let me go up here a little bit. This is gonna be shot at 5.8. Okay. Okay, that's my 90mm macro. Okay, just regular old 90mm macro. Now, I'm going to put on this macro conversion lens and see what I get. This is at approximately the same focal length. Trying to get it to where y'all can see the difference. Lock this down. Bear with me, guys, because it is live. All right, y'all see the difference? And that's the same settings. About the same, and the iris is kind of big. I mean, honestly, this little macro conversion lens really seems to work best with little tiny objects, but still, there's another one. That's still pretty darn close. Move, kitty.
Ooh, yeah.
So if we do, oh, I'm having a windstorm here. So if we do, that's with the regular, we'll compare here. This one's with the regular, and this is with the new one, and let's compare. Okay, so on the left-hand side is with the macro lens, and again, it's a pretty big pedal, and I'm pretty far away from it. That's, it's kind of close up, almost macro. When you put that conversion lens in, and again, this is super, super quick, so I would really take my time, probably get closer and closer and closer. But just adding that little clip-on conversion lens without changing anything else makes a huge difference. Okay. What time is it? Oh, it's already 2 o'clock. All right, let me go back to Zoom. And let me. All right. Hello, go away, go away. Okay. So that's just a super quickie little class. I hope y'all learn some things. I mean, it doesn't really go, I didn't really go over lighting in detail and a couple other things in detail, but it's just some things that can help you if you want to pursue macro, or if you're already shooting macro, maybe you want to go a little bit a step further. Everything that you, anytime you get something new, whether it be a gadget or a lens or software or anything else, you're going to have to experiment with it and to kind of learn what it can do, what it can't do. But they're all tools that can help you get better macros and just better shots. And I hope that y'all also picked up that the macro lenses can be used for more than just macro. They can also be used for portraits. A lot of portrait photographers use them and are starting to really use them. And they can also be shot to a degree for landscapes. Now they're not going to be like a wide angle. They're going to be cropped. And of course, they're going to look closer. It's almost like a super cropped sensor lens. But you can still shoot with them as long as you're not on limit, as long as you're on full and you zoom out as far as your macro can go, it will shoot landscapes. So any questions, guys? Oh, I need to give away stuff. Okay. Let's see. Almost forgot. Okay. So how about Miss Eleanor? You still with us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to give you the choice. Would you like the Rosedown book or the macro, the intro to macro and close-up? Okay. Okay. Email me your shipping address.
Okay.
And I'll ship that to you.
Will do.
Let's see here. Miss Sandy, would you like the Rosedown book?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
Okay. Again, send me your email address, your mailing address, I'm sorry, and I'll get that out to you. And Gary, would you like the tote bag?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
Yes, I can email you that.
Okay, awesome. Let me and then I'm going to try to share with y'all. Let's see, where is my chat? Here we go. I'm going to share with y'all the hello. This is the link to, well, if I can get to it here. Hello, there you are. This is the link to the a PDF of the macro and close-up book. So Oh, and make sure the ones that won the prize, make sure you let me know which one it was you won. And this is a link to the PDF of the macro and close-up book, so everybody will at least have a copy of it, even if it's a PDF. And also the that list that I have of links to where to buy all of these cool little gadgets and things like that. And again, 90% are from Amazon, but what can I say? I also will say real quickly before I let y'all go, if you haven't gotten into macro yet, but you're considering it, what you might want to do, what I did in the past, is before you invest a lot of money into a macro lens, or in some cases even a body, try buying refurbished. The three that I buy from, that's the way to go, because they're half the price, if not less, of the actual of the new model, a brand new model. And if you buy from the three reputable that I use is Adorama, B&H, and also K or Key. I don't know how you pronounce this. It's KEH. I actually broke my 90mm macro lens. When Scott and I were doing a shoot, I dropped it on the ground and it broke in half and I nearly had a heart attack. However, I got this one, which was actually used from KEH. I had it shipped to me within, I think, 2 days. I think I ended up about $115, $20. When I first bought this model, it was a whole lot more than that. And this is the older 90mm. They've now come out with a new one, but I like the old one because I can see where I got so used to using this model. Had a brand new one. I wanted this one, so I had it within about 2 days for $120 for a good Tamron macro lens. That's what I use too, by the way. I use all Tamron lenses for two reasons. One is because can't really afford to justify buying a brand new Canon macro lens. And plus the Tamrons, in my opinion, I know they also have Sigmas, they have different types. The Tamrons, at least for my purposes, are just super sharp. I love them. They're dependable, except when you drop them on the floor. So, and even the bodies, my first DSLR, big DSLR, my 5D, I bought it refurbished and I still have it to this day. As a matter of fact, Scott used it on a shoot last week. And that was 14 years ago that I bought this thing and it was refurbished. So just a thing to consider before you invest a ton of money into a lens or a body is try out refurbished first. And all three of those will come with some type of a warranty, like 30 days, 60 day or something like that. And so if you get them and they don't work, or you don't like them, send them back. And they'll, I think, either replace them or give you a credit or something like that. So, I mean, that's just kind of the way to go, in my opinion, instead of shelling out a ton of money for a body or a lens. So that way you get a chance to make sure that you like it before you invest a lot of money. All right. Okay. That's it, guys. If y'all have any questions or anything, feel free to email me and check out my website.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. I hope you had a good time.
Yes.
Yes, we did. Good. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Can we go back and watch it?
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Yes, it did record. So as soon as I figure out how to share the link for the recording, I'll be happy to send it to you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.